Welcome, everyone, to another Adventures into Reality. And once again, I'm joined by my intrepid world traveling co host, Kathy Ma.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be back. So great to be doing this. Kind of a bit weird, but great. Good. A lot of fun. I'm sure I'll adapt to it quickly.
Yes. In the attempts to bring you the new and wonderful formats, Kathy and I are switching to video. And this podcast here is to let you know how things are changing. In our last episode, we asked for people to give comments and suggestions, and there was a wonderful amount of them. We asked people to give more. Now, Kathy, I just added it up before. We did 114 hours of material last year.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, it sort of feels like you did a lot, but at the same time, it just breezed through so fast. I can't believe we did that much. I mean, I can, but I can't.
I remember last year, because we had started our show in October last year, and you had gone on your annual trip to Hong Kong. And when you got back, you got back to the show. And then this year, you're on your annual trip to Hong Kong again. How was your trip this year?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a shorter trip than I had hoped for originally, but really, really great. And I was able to spend my mom's 70th birthday with her, which was great. And my family came with me. So it was wonderful to introduce them to a lot of my family and places to go to and see that they had never seen before. So it was really a really emotionally good, touching, wonderful, happy time, mixed with a little bit of sadness, missing my dad. And but nice to be around his side of the family so that I could share all the stories about him with everyone. So it was good, and it was really nice to celebrate the upcoming New Year in Hong Kong, because they were so excited about the Year of the Rooster approaching, which we've now just entered. So that was really, really wonderful. And what about you, Andrew? I mean, you've been traveling quite a bit too.
Oh, over the last couple months now, I have been into a very deep phase of, I've gone into a book writing process. Some of the material you and I read, the Peacekeeper and Peacemaker material back in late November, I've expanded that manyfold, and I'm adding it to the coursework that is Living the Mystical Life Daily. That's the course that I did back in September this year that you were at, and we had an amazing time with.
That
And
was so
now I'm in the studio again and re-recording, not re-recording, adding the new material that came from this big, long book writing process that has a bunch more contract revocations, contract invocations in them. And then on top of that, I came up with the Union and Communion Collective Consciousness Strike that came out just after Christmas, which many of the members have gone through and listened, and we've been getting amazing feedback in the email about how it's changing people's lives, giving them a new perspective. So we're including this in the course, and the course should be available in sometime in March. So right now we're in the midst of filming. It takes some time to put it all together as a course, and it's looking like it's going to be a 15 or a 16-hour course by the time it's all said and done.
wow, amazing. When you start doing all this writing and all these thoughts coming to you, I mean, do your fingers literally just fly off the computer?
Yes, actually. A friend of mine that's been helping me go through the editing, we've been able to use a system where you can edit the doc at the same time, so I can be typing and that person can be editing behind me, fixing spelling mistakes or whatever. And there are times that I go into a flow and I'll write 4,000 or 5,000 words in, like, I don't know, like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And it's all made sense. It's just, the periods and the commas and that stuff isn't organized. So I
Yeah.
had intense bursts followed up by going back and understanding what it is and then expanding and expanding, because there are certain lines that you get to that are so in depth, even when I read them going, wow, that's special. Like in the Union and Communion Collective Consciousness Strike, there's just line after line after line. I was just having this personal giggle to myself as I was typing it out, going, oh, this is really, really going to connect to a lot of people.
Wow. That must be just such an amazing feeling to have all that flow, to see it in your head, to see it in front of you, and then actually typing it as well. I mean, you must be some skilled typist.
No, actually, half of what I have is the Microsoft Outlook squiggly lines underneath it, the red squiggly lines. But you spell. But when you're typing that fast, it isn't about the spelling. It's can you go back and read what you're actually intending, and I can do that. So I can type fast with many errors, but it's all still fully accurate, and that's the advantage of doing the skill that we do every day. It's just converting it to a typewritten process.
Yeah. I can totally see that. I mean, it is such a challenge it almost slows you down by typing. That's what I find. Like it's so much easier to record it. Have someone else type it.
Well, I found that out too. We're having a tremendous amount of our shows transcribed now. So, and I was able to share with you some of the documents, and when you see your own words written by someone else in the transcription, you have this moment where you look back and go, wow, it's pretty damn good there.
And wow, we really did talk a lot.
Yeah, 114 hours worth.
Oh, and it's so wonderful that everyone has been putting up comments, thoughts, ideas, even just the little things. It's been really wonderful. I'm really, really am so psyched that there's so much feedback from people. It's so wonderful to see. And it's nice to know that, you've been able to touch people in a certain way that's really helped them affect change within themselves, their own lives, and their outlook. And even if they're still in a quandary about what's going on or where is their next step, it's nice to know that you're sort of, part of the coffee and cakey process with people.
Yes. Over the last year of doing shows, what are some of the things you've seen in the audience, reflections back to them?
I'd say one of the big things that's probably hit me is that the seeming lack of information in one place is kind of what not the theme, but one of the things that comes through for me with people. It's like everyone is searching for information, and they're going to so many different places. And when you go to so many different places and you compile all the information together, it's so scattered. It's very confusing. And one of the things that I don't really, maybe theme isn't the right word, but one of the feelings that I get is that people are looking for one or two, let's say up to 3 places to get a lot of information from, to get a lot of feedback, and to, take a big bite out of something and chew on it and have like-minded people with them. I mean, when we were at the event that you did, which was awesome, that's one of the big things I found with people there, was that sense of camaraderie when they met each other, and they may have spoken to each other in the chat room or, in some sort of other venues, because there was some big interconnectedness in little groups that I had already met. I didn't get enough time to talk to a lot of people about it, but people are finding each other. But the overriding thing, the few days that we were there, what everyone kept saying to me was they felt like there was a family. They were so happy to have met each other. It was just that unity, and people all searching for similar things, not necessarily the same things, but they're all getting something out of it and knowing they're not alone. That was that overwhelming, I can only say camaraderie.
Soul family. It's the soul family that when they feel that connection to others, that no matter what space or distance between them, they'll find a way to communicate. Just like we're reaching out to an audience of people now, many people that are listening to us feel that deep connection to both you and I. We've assisted them in the dark nights of their souls. Just by those listening to the show, each and every person that comes on is a teacher. And one of the things that Kathy and I are going to be doing is we're going to be changing the format a little bit. We'll still have call-ins, but we are going to be teachers here. We're going to be featuring some of the other callers that have come in before, or ones that can be a more broad spectrum teaching to people.
Yes, and I think that's something that people have been asking us for a while, to sort of push ourselves towards a bit, and it's just been finding the time to think about it and how to morph ourselves more towards that arena, I guess. You know, because it's one of the things that's a little bit difficult for us is we've got so much information coming in from all the callers, all the listeners, all the comments. It's to get it all together and filter it through our minds and then work out what is the best format, how to best serve as many people as possible with the overriding suggestions or wants and needs, but at the same time not leaving out the little random person here or there, which is usually people like you and me.
Yep. So one of the things that we've got coming up is the course that will be coming out, like I said, in the March, sometime in mid to late March. But that's so that people have an assemble of knowledge and wisdom in one area, like you were saying before. And our show's format is meant to be teachers. We're looking for the people that are ready to let go of the mediocrity, the ones that are ready to come to a show, that have already done their ceremonies, that have already done through listening to the show and applying the advice that works for their moment, them coming forward so the next layer of teachers can be out there. We're coming to a unique time where the Year of the Rooster, there's going to be tremendous success for both sides, the light and the dark. The neutral personalities, which is what we're trying to procreate here, you too can have a great year.
Yes, that is so true. Yes. And it, if nothing else, you know, the Year of the Rooster is all about, you know, accountability, facts, figures, actual hard research, evidence, things like this. So willy-nilly just, you know, spouting off stuff isn't going to make the cut this year. It's all going to be about things like doing your homework. And with this is one of the things that we'll be no doubt challenging people with in our new format of show, is because we're doing it like this, if you are calling us and we've spoken to you before, we will ask you what you've been doing so that you can also show us how far you're willing to go with doing things, not just rely upon others. You must do your own self-work. You must try and make that effort, take those few steps, because if you can't take those few basic steps, it's very difficult for anyone to assist you on the rest of your journey. And Year of the Rooster will challenge you to produce those goods, so to speak. Because, you know, the Year of the Rooster is all about standing tall, standing up, being exuberant, but also being very genuine. So, you know, fluffing through things isn't really going to pan out so well for those of you that are thinking I'll just coast on through. It's not so much a coast on through year, it's a more show us what you've got, show us what your worth is kind of year. But if you do that, you will certainly succeed.
That's such great advice. You know, the Year of the Rooster is standing tall and proud, but to understand the difference between being proud of yourself and being prideful. Many times pride leads us down to the avenues of self-deception and self-defeat.
That is so true. That is so true. I mean, the actual definition of the word changes so much these days as well. And standing proud cannot be misconstrued with strutting. No, is that the right way to say it? Standing proud, being told standing proud of who you are, what you are, and where you're going is one thing. But just being proud because you think you're better than other people is a completely different kind of proud that we're not talking about.
Right.
So we're talking about cock-a-doodle-doo proud.
Exactly. And other things that the Year of the Rooster represents is victories and success, where people have to be ready for victory and success, and the weight of responsibility that comes with self-change, self-creation, money, abundance, relationships, whatever that comes in that form of success, you are responsible to upkeep it.
Yes.
Because that abundance is there, giving and granting you all of those beauties that come with it, there's the side that you pay back. And that is your prayers and self-healing and self-nurturing.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and about what you're willing to invest within yourself in terms of your own time and effort. It's not about necessarily money. It's investing money within yourself or to do things. It's more about the core being of yourself. You need to invest in yourself in all sorts of ways in order for yourself to be able to morph into what you want and to be able to grab those opportunities that come your way. I mean, last year was Year of the Monkey, and you know, we all felt that monkey on our back in all sorts of ways. But now that year has ended, and just before the Chinese New Year came on the 28th, everyone, I'm sure, had already started to notice things were getting easier. The pressures literally were a lot less on your shoulders. Things are starting to work better. Laughter has suddenly entered your life in ways that you wouldn't have thought. Friends that have fallen to the wayside, let's call it, suddenly want to reconnect with you, and you're like, what? What made me so popular? You know, and things like this. And that's a really good space to be in, because it's time now to sort of dust off all the dust that's been on you, that's been settling there the last year, and strut around, you know, get back with your life, be optimistic, because this year should be optimistic.
It's the year of the unlimited. It's the year of the unlimited point of view.
Yes, yes, very much so, very much so. One of the things I also wanted to talk about or just mention about the callers was, one of the things that I did notice is that how caring everyone is about others. We've had so many people call in saying that they heard, you know, so-and-so last week had this issue, or 1 month ago, which is great, because that means they're listening to our shows afterwards, which is wonderful. But also just that they could remember other people's issues and wanted to mention them or say hi, or even to tell them chin up. And sometimes in the comments you can see that as well. And that's one of the things that I'm really grateful for, that we've been able to do with this show, is give people that sense of caring for people that they may never have spoken to otherwise.
Or just how they're a teacher in the moment.
Yes, yes. Suddenly your own life and what's going on has so much bigger implications than you thought.
Exactly. Because we are both, Kathy and I, signature frequency moment of the now teachers. When you ask us our expression on a show, we have entered, each in our own way, our realm of understanding the seen and the unseen world. And we both come back with answers that oftentimes use different language to say the same thing, or different perspectives about the same subject, because they can all be presented from the unlimited point of view, a way for a person to see their limitations.
Yes. Yeah. See, you put it so eloquently. Just say, you know, we get each other.
Exactly.
See, this is why we get along.
One of the other things that we regularly encounter is people that argue for their limitations, which is, I can't do this, I'm unable to do that, I can't put 90 minutes a month into this, I can't do this, I don't have the skill, you've been doing it your whole life, I don't even know where to start. That's all arguing for your limitations.
Yeah.
That's also mediocrity. So we're asking the audience that's arguing for their limitations to stop arguing for their limitations, and understand you can ask us a whole new layer of questions that aren't just galactic history, that aren't just dating, that are subject matters that truly can assist many people. Like love, for example. Many people have a story about their first love, and there are tremendous lessons that can be learned from every person's first love story. The trials, the errors, the victories, and the defeats that come with each story.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And just even learning about interpersonal relationships, how to deal with them. You know, it's almost like, you know, this is not the way you say stuff, because it will not be received well. And sometimes, you know, just for that little tiny bit of feedback can make such a huge difference to a person. And because you haven't been able to get out of that rut or see it objectively from another person, it's suddenly, you know, the light bulb goes off and you think, oh, okay, maybe yelling at them was not a great idea. motivating them with, you know, things like praise or promise or love might be enough, you know, and that, I'm really simplifying things just to make it sort of more simple there. But when it comes to love and relationships, it's a whole humongous world out there that you can't even possibly imagine all the variables that you could explore when you feel like you're in a rut, because you're really not alone. You think you're alone when you're in that rut because you can't see beyond it, because out of that box thinking for your particular situation is beyond you. But when you look at it from another angle, if someone highlights something else to you, it's all of a sudden like, wow, you know what? That's actually could work, or is easier, or it might take a bit of work, but I can do it. I mean, things like that. It's like, what have you got to lose? You're already in a quandary. And even if things are going extremely well, it's a question of what are you doing to maintain things? Because you cannot take anything for granted in life. Nothing is for sure, and nothing will last forever unless it's tended. It's like plants. You can't just leave them there and they look beautiful forever. You still actually have to water them. Sometimes you got to give them food. Sometimes you have to get the expert in and tell you to put it in a different place in the house because the sun is no good. You know, all interpersonal relationships are the same too. You must keep maintaining interest, maintaining work at them. It doesn't have to be a big job, but it's certainly something that you can't take for granted.
Exactly. You can't take love for granted in any way, shape, or form.
And that's one of the things that I've been learning a lot over the last probably 5-8 years in my life, is that not just from what has happened to me, but looking around me throughout my clients and friends, relatives, is that lack of detail that's going into relationships, and therefore has produced issues or produced problems that really could have been avoided. And they're over very simple things. It could have been something that takes you only 3 minutes a day. You know, it's even that text, I love you, even if it's the same text that you keep forwarding every day, that's still the effort to do something. And that's one of the things that I think, you know, in our lives today, times have changed. And because everyone's so involved with their own lives, because everyone's lives are so busy nowadays, you forget about the people around you and the people that love you, and how you need to maintain those relationships.
That's right. And one of the big encounter in relationships, a lot of people that have sensual or sexual dysfunctions are unable to have those processes. And we've had quite a few shows in the last year where we advanced into that. And that is a subject matter we are going to be tackling on specific podcasts. Not the gory details, but the spirituality behind sacred relationships versus recreational relationships, and how to make correlations between some of the previous shows we had and some of the future people that we'll bring on to be teachers about from their story, their process. They may be other teachers in specific fields to help people overcome their sensual issues. Because we were saying before, it could be one little thing that takes 3 minutes a day, but after 5 years, that could be a major thing in the intimacy factor between a couple.
Yeah. It is. I mean, there are so many thousands of factors that come into any relationship. I mean, just by making sure that you've got even 3 weekly can make a huge difference. I mean, you think that thousands of things influence a relationship, but if you can master 3, you're good.
And if both of you are working on the same 3, that's called syncopation. That's learning to work together like a rhythm and a beat and a harmony.
Yeah, like a symphony.
Yeah, like a symphony of the selves trying to figure out how to work together by being authentically themselves. And the repetition process is still about yourself engaging the genius within to say, there is a problem here for me to solve, or there is a position here I need hindsight and foresight, so we may understand the habit patterns we are sharing with each other.
Yes, definitely very important. I mean, and these are some of the topics that we touched on in Charting Your Course, that series of shows that we did. and which was a lot of fun. Excuse me. And of course, we had the phenomenal Debbie Smart with us on some of those shows too, which was fabulous. I mean, her insight too was absolutely amazing. And these are the sorts of things that you can look forward to. I mean, Andrew has a lot of exciting stuff coming up because
That's right.
We're back.
That's right. We're back, and we're creating new formats. So we're once again asking people to put comments and questions in here in the YouTube feedback, the YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook and our Twitter feeds. It's Galactic Historian at Twitter, Galactic Historian at Facebook.com, or Galactic Historian at YouTube, as well as on the website. Go to andrewbartzis.com. You will have updates about our show. Right now, we want to present to everyone 50% of our audience is outside of the United States. We are in 171 countries right now. So balancing a time zone has been a challenge. Our 2-hour formats that we've done before has made it a challenge for some other listeners. So we're going to be reducing the 2 hours to 1 hour, and there may not be a consistent one live show. We're probably going to be pre-recording some material like we are today, because we want to present new waves and new forms, but the call-in show will continue. You go to andrewbartzis.com and sign up for the newsletter, as well as at Kathy's website, kathyspearlsofwisdom.com. You'll be able to have our newsletter and what's going on with the show. We are making this audience-oriented. We want your feedback.
Love your feedback.
Feedback. All right, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining us for this micro, mini, masterful podcast. And we will return once again with a new format. Thanks a lot.